Today on the podcast, I'm super excited to have an old friend of mine, awesome guy, the king of networking in Sacramento and beyond, Rico Rivera, now of Silicon East Real Estate.
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here. I really appreciate you having me on. I love hearing podcasts and sometimes watching them on YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm very excited to share what I know with your guests and your people that are listening.
Yeah, I appreciate you having you on, man. So why don't you introduce yourself real quickly about where you started, because it wasn't, Silicon East Real Estate where you started this whole journey, and I know you from way back. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I actually started right out of high school as a 19-year-old kid at Old Republic Home Protection. Old Republic Home Protection is a home warranty company. Excuse me. And I started there 19 years old. My wife was pregnant. She was she was 8 months pregnant. At the time she was 7 months pregnant, or about to be 7 months pregnant. And I needed to get a job. So her mom slapped a newspaper. And for those of you kids that don't know what that is, back in the 2000s, we still had newspaper.
Yeah.
And newspaper for jobs. And her mom circled a bunch of job openings, and she was like, call these people. So I did, and I got Volt Services, which is a temp agency, to hire me. So there's a story behind what happened with that, but I'll skip that story for a sense of time. But I got hired with Old Republic, temp to hire, data entry, making $9.50 an hour.
And to you were probably like, ooh, I made it, $9.50 an hour, and I get to sit in an office, right? This is big time.
Oh, best thing ever, bro. You're paying me $9 to talk to people on the phone? Man, I love talking on the phone. You know what I mean? So I worked my way up with Old Republic, started there in 2001. By 2010, 2006, I started working as an outside sales rep, and that was after I was being mentored by the VP of the company for a year, Lorna Mello. So I became a sales rep in 2006, 2007. And then in 2008, I had this epiphany that I was going to be the home warranty king. And at the time, there really wasn't anybody else calling themselves anything, really. And so I started calling myself the home warranty king. And so it began. I just, it was fun and funny at first, but then it essentially went nationwide. I even had my own website, thehomewarrantyking.com. It was so big that Old Republic International called Old Republic Home Warranty and said, hey, we have a new competitor, the Home Warranty King. And the president at the time, who's still the president, was like, no, that's one of our employees.
Man, I didn't even know that.
It was awesome. So, I worked my way up all the way to being an account executive. And in 2015, I got a job at Keller Williams to be the manager of the office without having a real estate license.
Okay.
And so that was a huge...
And so what with Keller Williams, that was in 2015, that shift from home warranties into the world of real estate, right? And you were about the most connected person there was in real estate because everyone knew you, everyone liked you, but all of a sudden you became, I wouldn't say a competition to everyone because you were an office manager, but you became affiliated with one company. So that was a pretty brave move. So what was going through your mind, or why did you make that move?
That's right. It was a huge, brave move, but I just felt like I was with Old Republic. I loved Old Republic, but I felt like I was at the end of my road with Old Republic because my ceiling was, I was stuck at a ceiling. The only way that I can move forward was if I was the regional vice president. I didn't see that happening anytime soon, or I was the VP of the company. I didn't see that happening, or the president of the entire company. And I also felt like the people that were at Old Republic were there. They were there forever. They're lifers. Most of them are still there, And so I felt like my ceiling was done there, and I needed to move on to something bigger and better. And that's when I joined Keller Williams.
Okay. So that was 2015, and you rocked and rolled as an office manager for how long?
So for 3 years. So I joined Keller Williams October 2015. Started with 68 real estate agents. At our height, we had 140 real estate agents at the office. And then I just recently did another huge move and left the position of being the office manager at Keller Williams Sacramento Metro and started my own real estate team, still with Keller Williams, but just my own team, my own business called Silicon East Real Estate.
Silicon East Real Estate. Awesome. And where are you guys located?
So we're actually located in Sacramento. We service all the greater Sacramento area, and our office is on 1610th R Street, right in the heart of Midtown.
Oh, that's a fun area too, huh? A lot of good lunch and happy hour choices around there.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Nice, man. And you mentioned 2005 is when you became an outside sales rep. Did I get that right?
2006, late 2006, 2007. That's when the market just tanked.
Yeah, but for me, like, I thought you were doing home warranties far before that, because I was working with Cooper as early as like 2004, and for some reason I always remembered you around, before the market tanked. But I guess you made that jump pretty much right as everything was going to shit, huh?
Exactly. So I was with Old Republic since 2001, and I had talks with some of the people in real estate in the Sacramento area because I was the assistant to the rep at that time. So I was the assistant to the rep, so sometimes I would talk to some of the real estate agents over the phone. So they had already known who I was. I just wasn't a sales rep until 2006. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha. And you're a get out there and see someone face to face, interact, shake their hand, say hi. You're not a cold on the phone, not only just on the phone guy. You like real relationships, right?
Yeah, I think I think that's my God-given talent. I have a mouthpiece. I'm not embarrassed by speaking with people or breaking the ice with anybody, and I'm really good at networking and creating a relationship with people. Very approachable, I guess you can say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember that, where you would just always be around, and that's a compliment, right? It's like you were always around. You're always going to see Rico. He's coming, he's going, he's talking to someone, he's helping out, he's smiling, he's sort of the calm in the middle of the storm, because everyone was losing their friggin' minds in those days, right? The whole economy was collapsing, yet alone our livelihoods and our jobs, and everyone was losing their house. I mean, the stress levels were insane, unprecedented since the Great Depression probably, but you were just, plugging along, doing your thing, and always there.
And I didn't know any different. And that, I think that's one thing that I would highly recommend people try to do. Just put your head down and work. And it's so hard, and it's hard for a lot of people that went through that, because they knew the difference between having all the money and how many deals you were doing. And people were getting houses on a weekly basis. People were getting houses. You could breathe, you're going to get a house.
Yeah.
So people went through this high, and then a lot of them went through a low, and then they were never able to get back up to their feet because they didn't go back to work, and they didn't go back to just grinding. I just grind. I didn't know. I wasn't around in the heyday, when everybody was just doing tons and tons of transactions. And so when I got in it, I was just like, I'm just going to work, man. I'm just going to do whatever I can.
So it's almost better that you got in when you did, instead of 2 years earlier, when every knucklehead and idiot in the world, myself included, was making stupid money that was just a house of cards,
I 100% agree with that, man. And today, I mean, the reality is our market is good. It is good. It has slowed down a little bit, but I don't know any different,
Yeah.
I also don't know any different. I'm just working, man. I worked the last 14 days in a row. I'll tell you that much. So if you're seeing my success and you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm telling you right now, I've worked the last 14 days in a row. And there's something that one of my mentors told me, and you know who it is, Udi Carrasco, man.
Shout out to Udi Carrasco, yeah, best CPA. I almost said in Sacramento, but definitely in California and probably even the U.S. if you're a business owner.
100% agree with that. But I had a session with Udi. I asked Udi for his help. Udi's a good businessman, and I just met with him a month and a half ago. And one thing that he told me that he learned when he was younger too, by someone that was also a super great businessman, was every day you have to do something to move your business forward. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's replying to an email. I don't care if it's reading a book. I don't care what it is. You have to do it every single day. And someone else told me that, Chris Hall. You know Chris Hall too. Chris Hall, one of my mentors for a long time now. And he told me the same thing. He's like, Rico, this is your business. No matter what, every day before you go to sleep, you got to do something to move your business forward. And so I do that. Now, I'm not saying that I'm working 8 hours straight this last 14 days. That's not the reality. But I'm working straight. Yeah. I'm making it happen.
Yeah. You have the consistency and all that. And that's good you mentioned Udi, because every time I ask him for help, he tells me, get the hell out of my office, You're
asking him for money or for help?
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm doing wrong, huh? Well, I'm going to, since we gave him a shout out, I'm going to send him a bill for advertising on this podcast, huh?
Make sure it's at least 5,000, bro. I'm going to get a bunch of people to hear this.
Oh, I love that cat. But so all these things you're talking about with helping people and reaching out and, getting to know people and, of course, the work, that's a roundabout definition for networking, right? So let's talk about networking. And since you're the king of networking, what does that really mean to you?
To me, it means creating relationships. Just that. Just creating relationships. When I was younger, I was probably 12 years old. There was a high school kid. His name was Daniel. He said, because this was the cool cat. This was like the Fonzie. He was a cool cat. Everybody loved him. Whenever we went into the room, everybody said, "What's up?" Like he was who I wanted to be like, right? Yeah. And he had all the girls. Like he was just the coolest cat, right? But he also was the nicest guy, man. He was the nicest guy. He would shake everybody's hand. He was just the nicest guy I've ever met. And so I asked him one day, like, "What's your secret to having everybody like you, to essentially to getting all the girls and having all the friends?" And you know what he said? He's like, "You know what I learned? That if you're genuinely interested in other people, eventually those people would be interested in you." Mm. And he was like, this is kind of weird, but I'm going to say, he was like, "You know how you get girls, really, really hot girls to like you?" I was like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Be nice to all the ugly girls." That's exactly what he said. He's like, "Be nice to everyone." Yeah. And if you're nice to everyone, eventually those girls get jealous that you don't talk to them, and then they come and talk to you. And I was like, wow.
Hold on, I'm writing this down. I'm writing this down because I got no game. So at 47 years old, I need some advice,
You definitely need no advice on women. I know that for a fact.
No, it's true, though. And you hear that same thing in different forms, like Zig Ziglar, right? You help enough people get what they want, and you'll get what you want, or something like that. It's the same thing, right? You give first, and you create that relationship with goodwill.
And be genuine about it. People can see right through you.
Yeah.
If you're at a networking event and you're like, I'll tell you this: if you're at a networking event and you're the guy that's just trying to like get business cards, but you don't really care, you just want business cards. Like, hey, what's your name? Here's my business card. What's your business card? Okay, bye. Hey, what's your name? Like, if you're that guy, people see right through you. They're like, you don't really want to be my friend. You don't really care about me.
Yeah.
You just want my business card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just be genuine. My wife used to always be like, "Why do you always have to be the first one there and the last one out?" Because people remember the first one there and they remember the last one out. If we're going to an event, I'll be the first one there helping you set up and the last one out helping you clean up.
Yeah.
Because everybody forgets about the people that put the event together.
Yeah. No, it's true. And that's another thing you did with networking, no matter what professional capacity you were with, is you were out there at events like crazy. There wasn't, you were savoir-faire. You were everywhere. There wasn't something going down in Sacramento where you weren't a part of it, huh?
Oh, absolutely, man. I was actually so religious about that. And, my wife knew, and that's another thing, like, I want to give props to the wifey for sticking by and sticking to it, And it actually has blessed us a lot to put in all this work. You know, she stuck by it, but it wasn't easy. I mean, that's the reality. And I'm not an angel. I mean, listen, we've been together 18 years, and there's been ups and downs in our relationship. And by no means am I an angel, but even that's putting in the work.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, you're right. And there's a lot of for her to be Mrs. Networking King, there's a lot of sacrifice, right? Because you're out on the road, you're talking to people, your attention is with work and with other people and always these events. And so I'm sure she's had to sacrifice a lot, and she probably had to early on buy into your vision, but also who you are, and know know why you were doing it to help the family.
Absolutely. And if you look at me, 2001, when we first met in 2001, and who I am today, I mean, we're so blessed, man. We're so blessed, going from not having any money. I mean, literally being broke, man, and eating top ramen, and being in one little room, from someone's house, or I mean, we were broke, bro. So going from that to putting in the work and being where I'm at today, I mean, God is good.
But talking about that with the hard work and stuff, real estate, especially in real estate, mortgage, whatever, you're spread so thin and you're trying to do 20 different things and you're not sure what's working and what's not. So I think people just get overwhelmed. The average agent doesn't mind working hard. They just want to know that they're working smart as well, right? And not just wasting their effort.
Oh, I agree 100%. It's in our life, in our lifestyle, we're accustomed to getting something right away, right? And so it's extremely difficult to put in the work, whether it's a month or 2 months or 3 months before you get paid. And in real estate, whether you're a loan officer or a real estate agent, you essentially are putting in the work way before you get paid. The work comes from the very first time you met someone. It comes from going to the networking event. It comes from, if you were nice or not when you were younger. Even as a kid, I think if you're in high school and you're a bully, that person's going to be a homeowner in the future. And if you're in real estate and you're a bully to that person, they're probably not going to use you for real estate. So a lot of people don't realize that, it comes from way back. And so one of the things that I used to tell my office as an office manager was just be nice. Be nice to people. You never know.
Yeah. And first off, Rico, were you a bully or were you bullied? Because I was the kind of kid that got stuffed in the locker and my lunch money stolen,
I actually wasn't a bully. I was like the hero to the book, and I got in so many fights beating up bullies. Just because I hated when people would get bullied, my younger brother would get bullied, and I always would have to essentially beat guys up for him until everybody knew he was my brother, and then they would leave him alone. But I did that for other kids too.
That's amazing, man. And not only is it good to hear these days, because we didn't have social media back in the day, so everyone got bullied. But now it's such a big deal on social media. I think it makes it worse in some ways, and kids are ostracized from their class or committing suicide or shit like that. So it's good to hear that someone was actually standing up for the little person even back then, huh?
Just a couple of years ago, some girl in high school that was beautiful, young lady, just committed suicide from that. So it's unfortunate, man, that the amount of bullying that social media can do. And if you think about it, I mean, back then it was just your classmates. Now it's like your classmates plus the entire high school and all the other high schools around you,
And they also said, back in the day, I was ugly, I had buck teeth, I wasn't athletic, I'm not the cool, suave cat you see today, Rico. I wasn't a finished product, So it's like you get bullied, you go home at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. or whenever my short bus left, and it was done. But these days, you go home and the social media still goes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's like, man, it's rough for these kids in a lot of ways, huh?
No, I 100% agree with that, man. It's unfortunate. I was just talking to my kids, to my daughters. I have an 18-year-old, or soon to be 18, and a 13-year-old. I saw a commercial of a girl, and it was a commercial about her mental health, because she was just, the commercial showed a young girl in the kitchen, like cutting up, doing some sort of like work, but then she splits up into a bunch of different things, and it just shows that your mind is like racing, going all over the place, and showed her frustrated, like she would want to commit suicide or something like that. And I just 2 minutes ago had that conversation with my daughter, saying, man, if you ever feel that way, please reach out to me or your mom or someone. Don't just keep it to yourself, because it's so unfortunate that people feel like they have to kill themselves and know that that's the only answer.
Yeah, man, and it's and I love it that we get into this deep tangent. I love it because it's real shit. But everyone goes, oh, well, back in the day we were tough and we just rubbed some dirt on it, and these kids today are spoiled and they're not, And like everything, there may be a tiny truth to that, but probably not. I mean, because we didn't have this 24/7 news cycle, social media, that whole fear of missing out or comparing yourself to everyone else on social media. It's really like there's studies now. It creates extreme anxiety levels and depression. And so I think kids have it, they have a lot of challenges that we didn't, Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I grew up in the ghetto, bro. I used to get like, literally, you would have to walk to school to junior high. My first day of junior high, I got in 2 different fights. One in the morning with some guy that was older that wasn't even in school anymore. Got jacked at knife point. The guy put a knife to my neck. The first day of junior high. I'm a 7th grader. I get jacked for my $20 for PE, because you need $20 for your PE clothes. That happened the very first day. The very first day going home from freaking school, I get in a fight with this gangster because I'm passing by his neighborhood.
Damn.
That's how crazy it was growing up. Every different in LA or Orange County, every street is a hood. Every street is a different gang. So walking home was a nightmare. I had a 2-mile walk, and it was a nightmare because if you weren't from their gang, you were an enemy. And it's like you have to be a tough kid or you're going to get bullied every day. And so I would constantly get in fights until people knew who I was and left me alone.
Man, that's crazy.
And that doesn't happen today, at least not in this neighborhood that we live in. But I didn't get bullied. There wasn't social media. I think today's world is 180 degrees, maybe even 360 degrees different than what it was when we grew up, and what the things that the kids had to deal with,
It's interesting. That it explains why you got a lot of junkyard dog to you, and that's a high compliment, meaning the persistence, the work ethic, the self-confidence, the putting things in perspective, which I definitely think has served you well in your career, right? I mean, those are things that were ingrained, you needed, right, just to survive, it sounds like, where you're from.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember even like every weekend, my dad would go cut grass. And I was 9 years old, 10 years old, and I had to get up and go cut grass with him and for extra money. And I've been working since I was 9, like actually working where you're always like, you had a job where you actually go and you have something that you have to do. I was from like 9 to 10 all the way through I was 14 when I actually had an actual job, and I got a job at McDonald's and McDonald's, and had to come home. And then, off season when I wasn't playing football, I was working at McDonald's 4 hours a night. So come home, do homework, go to work, or come home, go to work, do homework, and then get up in the morning and do it all over again. And on the weekends, I'd had odd jobs like, flea market. I would work at the flea market. If it was Christmas season, I would work on the weekends, I would work at the tree lodge, the Christmas tree lodge. I did all that stuff, bro. Yeah.
And it wasn't just, like, oh, we want you to work, put in a little bit of work so you learn a work ethic. And so, you could afford yoga class and Jamba Juice. This was like, like all hands on deck. We need everyone hustling and making money to eat and buy clothes and survive, huh?
That's very true. It's funny because my mom did something that at the time I thought was the worst thing she could ever do, and today I think, and essentially what she did was she would split my check in three, and she would say one for the house, one for the piggy bank, and one for you. So every third, so I would get a third. So like when I started working at McDonald's, I used to get paid like $4.50 or $4.75 an hour or something like that. And I remember always thinking I'm only making $1 something because my mom's going to get the other 2/3 and do something with it. But it just taught me responsibility and taught me how to save and stuff like that, you know. And I thank her for it because it was always like, this is for the house, for the savings account, and this is what you can actually spend. And so it actually has made me who I am today, and it's the reason why I pay my bills on time.
Man, and you think about it like, we overcomplicate things so much in this world. But isn't that pretty much the best advice you could ever give to a realtor, a mortgage lender, anyone in sales or, on commission too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, especially in real estate or anybody that's a 1099 and not even an employee, right? Self-employed 1099 person. Essentially, if you gave a third of the 100 to Uncle Sam, and it's not going to be that much unless you're making a ton of money. But even then, right? If you gave a third of Uncle Sam, a third of your piggy bank, and that's a lot, and then you lived below your means at a third, you would do really well in life. That's just the honest truth. I mean, DTI is like 40%, and sometimes goes all the way up to 50% when you're really, really cutting it short. But if you did DTI at 33%, you'd be very well off. Essentially, living below your means at all times.
And it's hard to do, living below your means these days for a couple of reasons. But in California, of course, housing prices and for every family, escalating medical costs and all these things just add up way more. But a lot of it, I think, is debt. I not only do marketing for realtors and loan officers, but also for credit repair companies, Blue Water Credit there in Roseville. Shout out to them. They're my original client. And other, I've worked for bankruptcy attorneys and debt settlement companies, and debt is killing people, man, whether it's student loans or credit cards or auto loans these days.
You know why that is, though? Because we're never taught in life in general. You're never taught how to actually deal with debt.
Yeah,
never. There's never a class in high school on how you deal with debt. Your parents don't know how to do it because they're just constantly working. So it just goes to show you the difference between a family that's established, has some financial sense. I deal with it today. I meet clients that their parents are very well off, or their grandparents are very well off, and their parents are well off, and then they're well off in the sense of they have knowledge, they have financial knowledge, they know they're supposed to save money, they know that credit card is not their money, they know how to manage it, right? And so it's almost like the best kept secret of the rich.
Yeah.
Having the knowledge of being able to use this. Look at Donald Trump. Being able to use the system to his advantage, and really just using the rules that are already in place. But when you don't have that in your arsenal, when your parents don't teach you that when you're growing up, it's how we fail, right? And so that's the way that I want to break the system and teach my kids, like, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and it's definitely, you're right, like it becomes the culture, right? So like a wealthy family, that's why wealth is generational. People sit around and they talk about, what are you studying in school? What how are you going to pay your bills? This is how we pay taxes. As you get older, this is what an investment is. This is compounding interest. This is why you avoid debt. And it's also, I think, the relationships that are accessible to you, which is, today. Yeah, and we're talking about networking today, right? But it's so much that you take the average dipshit, and if they grow up in a certain neighborhood, they're going to be, in jail or working a low-end job, or that's just the people around them and what's available to them. And that same dipshit, and you put them in a private school, and you give them a great network of people around them who become VPs of banks and stockbrokers, and they're probably going to do pretty well because of it.
And it's so true, man. You are who you hang around with, Birds of a feather flock together. I mean, when you're young, you don't realize that. I don't care. Unless you're growing up when you're growing up with that type of network, and even then you don't realize it until you get older, you realize, wow, we're part of this network of individuals. You see what I'm saying? But when you're young, your parents tell you, hey, you shouldn't hang around with that kid. That kid's bad news. You're going to be just like him. You're like, no, I'm not. Johnny's great. He's a good friend of mine, even though, he's a bad person, right? Or a bad kid or doing all kinds of trouble stuff. But you don't realize that until you get older. And what people say, you make the sum of the 5 closest people to you. That is so true, bro. That is so true. Proximity is so true. You just, the 5 closest people to you find out what they make a year. You plus all of that, you put it all together, you divide it by 5, that's how much you make a year, and it's so true.
Wow.
It's just because you're right. You read the same stuff, you get the same information, you share information. When there's a job opening, who do you ask? Who do you ask for help? Your friends. Hey, I need a job. Your friends are going to get you a job where they work,
And I think you set your, not to jump in, but I think you set to your point, I think you set your expectations based on your friends' experiences and based on your floor and your ceiling, I think, are also set by what your friends and your closest network are doing.
100% agree with you, man. It was sad, but a few years ago, somebody asked me if I was going to stop hanging out with them because I was going to be making more money, and I said, no, I'm not going to stop hanging out with you, but we don't have things in common like we used to, so we don't hang out all the time anymore.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that was the reality. Like, somebody was like, hey, man, like, are you not going to come around anymore? Like, are you too good for us now that you make more money? And it's like, it's not even like that. It's not that I don't want to come around. It's the fact that we don't have things in common,
Man, and you probably get that pressure, right? You've probably heard that a million times at the backyard barbecue or the wedding or whatever, like, oh, look at fancy Rico. Oh, look at that. Oh, too good for us, right? Like, forgot where he came from, right? I mean, so how do you handle that?
I always been, bro, I'm black and white. The reality is, I'm not too good for people, I do go hang out with people and kick it. People see me at the freaking Raiders game and they don't recognize me. For some reason they think I'm a gangster because I'm at the Raiders game.
Well, actually, that's true. All Raiders fans are gangsters, but that's another story.
That's classic. I'm a gangster. But it's like I don't know. I just think it's weird, funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
You are who you hang around with, and if you do want to advance yourself, you have to get out of your network, the current network that you're in, and go seek better networks. Go seek people to teach you. Go seek people to help you out, All it takes is you asking the question, can you help me? I'd like a mentor. Dude, I'll tell you this much. That changed my life forever. The day that I swallowed my pride and asked somebody for help changed my life forever.
Wow.
And here's what I mean by that. Just anybody. You could be in high school and ask a teacher for help, right? You cannot know a math problem and you swallow your pride and you go ask the teacher for help. That'll change your life. That happened with me. The day that I'm talking about was when I actually went downstairs and spoke to the VP of Old Republic Home Protection, Lorna Mello. She had no idea who I was. I knocked on her door and I said, hey, would you mentor me? And she was like, who are you? What's your name?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm Rico Rivera and I work in your field service department. And, I would like to get mentored by you. And she just was, in a way she was dumbfounded because she didn't know who I was, but then she's like, sure. And she's like, I'll mentor you on your time, either at lunch or after work, 1 hour a week. And if you ever don't show up on time or you don't do the homework that I tell you to do, we're done.
Wow.
And I said, cool.
Yeah.
So I literally, for a whole year, would come to her office once a week for an hour during my lunch or after work and listen to her and do what she told me to do. Told me to read books. Told me to do this. She told me to do that. She taught me so much, bro.
Wow.
But if it wasn't for me saying, hey, can you mentor me? I would have never got that mentorship.
You got to knock on the door, right?
You have to. You have to be willing to put in the work, and then you have to be willing to ask for help. And that's another big thing that I do. I ask for help. There's a lot of people in this life that have helped me, from my parents to my brothers and sisters, in some sort of way, to my friends. I mean, Kevin Cooper is one of your friends. He's one of my friends that's helped me. I know he was in your podcast last week.
Yeah.
Chris Law. There's a bunch of different people that have helped me throughout my career. And even if it's just, a few words of encouragement, people help you. But you need to be able to want to learn.
Yeah, and there was a quote that I just actually wrote down yesterday. It's by actually the rapper Fonte, a little brother. That's an East Coast thing. You don't know about that, Rico. But basically, he said in one of his lines, he goes, "Do you really want to win or just look good losing?" And to me, yeah, right. And to me, that's like these days, everyone wants to be Instagram famous and likes and blah 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 and drive the car and have that perception, but you give me the people who are willing to roll up their sleeves and say, I don't know everything. Give me help. Teach me. Tell me what you know. Show me how to do it. How do I get ahead? How do I change my life like you're talking about? And those are the folks who may not always look good, but, man, they're the ones who are going to win the game.
Oh, all day long, man. All day long. And I've asked for help from Chris Johnson. I don't know if you saw my episode with him. He's helped a lot of people. He's helped me a lot. Someone that I met. I've asked for tons of help. I mean, you just have to be able to ask, ask for the help, and then be willing to take the help, right? Take the advice, and then run with it.
Yeah.
The worst thing you could do is ask someone for help, and then they give you advice, and you don't do it. It's a slap in the face. Yeah. It's like you're wasting people's time.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, in terms of this networking, I mean, you talked about how important it is to your life and your career. What about for the other realtors and loan officers? You were an office manager. You now have your own real estate shop under Keller Williams. So what are you teaching other realtors about networking?
Here's what I always say, and this is something that I always do. And somebody else taught me this too. He's like, if you go to a networking event and nobody notices you, you might as well stay home. Mm. If you go to a meeting and nobody notices you, you might as well stay home. So anytime I go to a meeting, whether it's an MLS meeting or a meeting anywhere where there's a ton of people, I make it my goal to be noticed. Whether it's I'm a little late and everybody's already sitting down, or I ask a great question that nobody wants to ask, or I stand up and say something and make a statement, or I contribute to the group. There's got to be something that you do if you're there to make people notice the fact that you were there, or stay home.
Yeah. Wear a ugly ass loud shirt that everyone makes fun of, right? But at least, right? I mean, I'm not even kidding. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Or a crazy tie or something.
If they didn't see you were never there. You might as well just not be there, Make an effort to be different. Make an effort to be noticed. Contribute to the group. And
you talk, too, about, with realtors and with meeting people and networking events, about giving first, about being genuine. And this is where, like you, Kevin Cooper, these guys who are amazing networkers, people, so much charisma, people flock to them. You guys make people feel good, so it's genuine. It's not just, hey, I'm, like trying to get your business card. I'm trying to get referrals. I'm trying to get business. When you make people feel good, whether it's for 10 seconds, whether it's for a minute, whether it's for a lifetime, man, they'll give. They'll help you out. They'll be in your team, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that really goes. That's when you go above and beyond, right? I mean, I used to tell my wife was a receptionist at a title company, and she made a comment about the UPS guy and the mail guy and stuff, and I was like, babe, those guys, nobody ever says hi to. Yep. Nobody ever says thank you to. Yep. These guys just go in there, and sometimes you think that they have no souls because they just drop off mail and leave. Like, they don't say hi, you know what I mean? And it's because they're accustomed to nobody talking to them. And I was like, you want to make their day? Say hi to them. Say thank you.
Yeah.
Say thank you. Nice shirt. Nice pants. Nice tie. Nice shoes. Like, I even make comments like that, And it's like, I make someone's day. People are like, man, that's cool. And I'm being genuine about it. Like, those are nice shoes, man. Those are cool. And that's what makes me different from people. And that's what lets people, I guess, lets me or them in with me. And then you just start creating a relationship.
Mm. And so, knowing you all these years, right, professionally, personally, we kicked it, we have mutual friends, we've done business together. I always just assumed Rico's just a natural, right? This is who he is, his personality, which is true. but that I was thinking like, hey, he's just a genuine, like really nice, likable guy who gets along with everyone. But there's actually a lot of thought, a lot of strategy, a lot of planning, a lot of education, a lot of mentoring that goes in behind this, right? None of this is by accident.
No, it's not. The reality is it's not, right? Like, there's books that I've read. There's audiobooks that I've read. John Maxwell, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That's a great book that taught me a lot. Zig Ziglar, his book. I mean, there's tons of different books that I read or hear from that make an impact in my life, and then I implement. I implement when I'm out in public. I implement. Like everyone's. And I know Kevin Cooper said this last week, but everybody loves to hear their name.
Yeah.
So if you say someone's name all the time, they're more fond of you, and they're essentially they're going to be able to connect with you more. And it's so true. And I read that in the book. And there's a book, Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands. I've got a lot of information from that book, and it makes a big difference. So the way I give an Asian person my business card is different than how I hand my business card to someone that's Mexican, there's an actual etiquette.
Yeah.
And so when you do that and you're at a networking event and you know stuff like that, they feel honored that you're honoring them.
And also, like, if you were what's culturally or situationally appropriate, right? You have to pay attention. It's if you're at a Raiders game meeting Udi versus when you guys are both suited and booted in someone's office, it's a little bit different.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So yes, I've learned from these books. Yes, I've learned from mentors. Yes, I've put all that into when I go network and what makes me who I am today. But it's me wanting to speak more and wanting to find more and wanting to learn and then implement.
Now you're talking about the education, and you've mentioned, which is awesome, so many mentors, people you respect that are great networkers, books you've read, motivational courses, all this stuff. At a certain point, when is Rico Rivera going to write his own book about networking that becomes the manual for his new agents? I'm not even kidding, bro. I'm not even kidding.
No, it's funny because it's actually one of my goals. It's on my bucket list. Write my own book is part of my goals, man. I've written that down, and I love having goals and accomplishing it. So I'm definitely going to write a book. I didn't think it would be about networking, but maybe it would be about networking because I enjoy it and I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, it could be about anything. Just make sure you have a lot of pictures so someone like me could read it, right?
Of course.
Nice, man. So let me ask you this, because this is where two roads meet, basically. I'll say it like that. Old school, traditional networking, people, relationships, face-to-face, knowing someone well, and then the world of technology and social media. And somehow you've sort of mastered both and actually joined them. So I know you do a lot with social media and Facebook, and you teach tons of classes about this. How can the average realtor, loan officer, salesperson network via social media and technology these days?
Dude, that's a great question. So in 2008, I realized that it was another epiphany, right? I realized that people really do feel connected when they see a video of you, when they read a status update of you, of what you're doing. They truly feel connected to you. And then I was like, wait a second. If I'm out there running around, because I was a sales rep running around, right? My territory was huge. It was like two hours apart from each other. From the beginning to the end, it was 2 hours apart of driving time.
Yeah.
I said, if I'm out there driving around, I can't see everyone when I'm driving. I can't make a ton of phone calls. I can, but I can't. If I can do a video and put it on Facebook or YouTube at the time, and all these people that see it feel like they saw me today, that's amazing. That's like huge. So I started doing it. I started doing videos and putting them out, and people started saying, oh, I saw your video, and they felt super connected. That's what social media is. They felt super connected. They felt like they were with me when I went camping. They felt like they were with me when I was in class. Then I said, why not make it to where I post all the time, and then I connected to people, and that's what I started doing.
And
so
to jump in, not to interrupt you, but people hear that now and go, yeah, of course, that's what we do. Too much. That's what we do with our. But this is back in 2008 or earlier, and to put it when that was very rare, and to put it in context, YouTube wasn't even created till 2005.
Right. So in 2008, when I started my YouTube channel, right, people had no idea about this, and YouTube was part of the reason why I started getting business from the East Coast. I was literally getting home warranties from the East Coast, and my company was like, "How are you getting these warranties from the East Coast?" Oh, there's this little thing called YouTube, and this is before Google even owned YouTube, you know. And that's telling people you need video marketing since 2008. It's been 11 years, and now last year was the major year of video marketing, where everybody's doing videos now, you know? Facebook does Facebook Live now.
Yep. So it's mostly through video. That's what you're teaching in a lot of these classes, huh? Where they could keep the personal touch and, you know, touch someone's 4 senses, not 5 senses or whatever it is, but via video to network.
Video is huge because there's something about our eyes and the connection we have to seeing somebody live.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily live in person, but through a video. And so when you see a video of someone partying at a party, or you hear about them, 2 different things, right? If I'm like, man, you should have been at the party, we had a blast, you're like, okay, cool, I should have been there. But if you see a video of us at the party having a blast, you're like, oh, man, I should have been there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 10 million words, huh?
Exactly. And then the other thing that I've also realized is there's a connection with your voice and how you sound with people. So when they're seeing you and they can hear your voice, it makes a huge difference too. Like right now, your viewers, right, or your listeners can hear your voice, and there's a true connection. You have a unique voice. I have a unique voice. So when you hear someone's voice, you're connected to them because you can see them, you can hear them, you can picture them, right? Instead of somebody else reading, right? If somebody read what we said today, it wouldn't be as impactful as it is listening to our actual voices.
Yeah.
So what I used to do from Facebook is I used to go down. Facebook tells you everybody's birthday, and I literally would send people a birthday message through Facebook.
Beautiful.
Not a text, but an actual message that they can play. And that got me tons of exposure as well.
Beautiful. That's all you need, right? And it took you, once you had a system, which you could underline that word 10 times over if you're a realtor, a loan officer, any salesperson. But once you had a system, you probably said, okay, here are the 5 birthdays today. Let me shoot these quick messages while I'm in the car and I'm not doing anything anyways. And it probably took you 10 minutes, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. I was driving. I was just going down the list and leaving messages.
Beautiful. And I definitely want to, I'll ask for help. I would love to learn from one of your seminars or your social media classes or so. I've asked you before, man, record one of those or, do something, video it or something. I'd love to be a part of that because I could learn a lot from you when it comes to networking.
I actually just recorded the one I did in San Jose last week. So let me get the recording. I'll shoot it to you, bro.
Yeah, beautiful, man. And then just send the bill to Udi, right?
Of course.
So these days, I mean, I know you're so busy. You have family. You're running the office. But when it's time to unwind a little bit, and you're still networking because you're still just meeting cool people. But what are some of your favorite events or places to go chill, have a beer, have something to eat, watch a game, or still network a little bit?
Still networking, all that. So your local bar and grills are probably the best, right? For anybody. I mean, I right now I love Beast and Bounty, Iron Horse. You have Moss, R15, Shady Lady. You know about Shady. You actually introduced me to Shady Lady.
I'm interested in a lot of Shady Ladies. Yeah.
So I would just say your local bar and grills, man. Your local spots that everybody goes to after work. That's probably your best place to go hang out, have a little drink if you want to have a drink or watch the game and actually network with people there. And it's again, you don't have to make it about work. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with wanting to network, right? They feel like, well, if I'm networking, I have to talk about work. Well, that's not really networking. That's prospecting. If you're prospecting, then yeah, you have to talk about work if that's what you're doing. But that's not networking. Networking is just going out and being interested in other people and what they have to do, right? If they're interested in fishing or hunting or social media or whatever else it is, it's not necessarily have to be about your job and what you're doing.
That's a great point. That's an amazing point. The difference between prospecting and networking. And I always think of it like this. Networking, you're a mirror. Prospecting, you're a magnet, right? So prospecting, you're saying, this is what I'm doing. These are the benefits. They're drawing them in. This is why you should talk to me, answer my email, meet with me, do business with me. Networking, you could just be holding up a mirror. How are you? How was your day? What do you do for work? Where do you live? Yeah, what do you like? What's your favorite sports team? Where do you, and it's all about the other person, but that's a good way to differentiate, I think, networking and prospecting.
Right. And that's another way of not being the guy that's constantly talking about work. Trust me, if I talked about my work all the time, nobody would like me. You know what I mean? People would be like, man, that guy talks about his work all the time. I don't want to hang out with Rico, All he talks about is real estate. People don't like that, bro. That's just the reality, I don't want people to think of me as the real estate guy when they don't need to. They need to think of me as the real estate guy when they're going through a real estate transaction. But other than that, I'm just Rico,
And I think people still do business with those they like. And of course, they want to trust. That's the real commodity, right? And so you could have all the real estate facts and statistics and awards in the world, but if they don't like you, they're not doing business with you.
All day long, man. And I don't think that's ever going to change, especially not unless we get rid of human beings. I honestly do say that for a fact, A lot of people feel like computers are going to take over and robots are going to take over, and they might one day. And when that happens and we do business with robots, then robots are going to be doing business with robots, right? But until we have human beings, man, I think we really need the human connection, the belly to belly, one-on-one, the interaction, the feelings. Robots don't have feelings. Computers don't have feelings, Computers don't know what it feels like to lose a home. They don't know what it feels like to get robbed. You see what I'm saying? That's the kind of thing that people want to trust you. If I'm trusting you in my house, this is my family, man.
Yeah, that's very true, man. That's great stuff. So 3 more rapid fire questions for you, and super appreciate your time, bro. I had a blast. This was so much fun. What is one thing people don't know about Rico Rivera, the networking machine / networking king?
I was born in Mexico City. Not Mexico City, but Mexico. Guadalajara, Jalisco. A lot of people don't know that I was actually born there. So I was born in Mexico, man.
Nice. How old were you when you came on over?
I was 8 years old when I came over. I'll tell you something that's very personal. I came over. I actually crossed the border, jumped the fence. I was an illegal alien. I didn't know what I was doing. I was with my mom. I'm the oldest of 5 kids at the time, and it was all 5 of us and my mom, and we're jumping the fence using a coyote. We got caught. I went to jail, man. I went to jail 3 different nights.
Oh my
when we were trying to do all that.
And this was 8 years old.
I was 8 years old. Yep, I was in jail when I was 8 years old, along with my sister, who was like 5 months, and my brother who was like 1.5, and my other brother who was like 3, and my other brother who was like 7.
Damn. That's some serious stuff. And eventually, of course, you guys got through and got to settle, and God bless California, right?
Absolutely, man. And I'm a citizen of the United States. I love this country. This is the best country in the world. And I'm an American citizen. I love it here, man. And I'm here to contribute, not to do anything other than that.
Oh, and that's what you do, bro, is you contribute all day long. Anyone in the Sacramento community or, NorCal knows that you're a giver for sure, and that's why you have success.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So speaking of U.S. and the best country in the world and Mexico and foreign destinations, you visited Costa Rica at one point, right?
I did. I visited La Pura Vida.
Why are you laughing? Do you think you know what's coming next?
Yeah, I do think I know what's coming next.
Any little fun little stories or anything you'd like to share with us?
I don't think a lot of people know about this. I think my family knows it, and my wife who was there. But I'll share it real quick. So we're in Costa Rica. I'm a sore. I stick out like a sore thumb, man. So we were there for a week, and we went out every night. And every night we went out, there was, just people just trying to mess with me. But the last time we hung out, there was there's lady boys, and there's lady boys in Costa Rica.
Well, yeah, and to put it in context too, I actually lived in Tamarindo, Costa Rica for a year, where Rico was. So you can imagine if my candy ass survived it, then Rico definitely was down there kicking it.
So there was, I want to say transvestite. I don't know if it's transvestite. I don't know what the proper term is, but I call it lady, right? So there was one of them that was, it seemed like the leader of the pack, and she kept just like taunting me throughout the night, like, "Hey, big boy, and come over here." And my wife was with me, right? And she was just like literally calling me over to her the whole night when I would pass by her and stuff like that. And eventually, nothing happened. I didn't acknowledge her, right? But she got upset that I didn't acknowledge her. And at the end of the night, she grabbed the bottle. And if you don't know, in Costa Rica, if you have a bottle for the VIP services, you can literally take that with you in a cup. So people, you have a bottle. She essentially put an entire bottle of alcohol in a cup and acted like she was drunk and just threw it in my face.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, man. And I didn't do nothing. I was like, first of all, I'm in a different country. I don't know anybody here. This guy just throws this entire bottle of alcohol in my face. My eyes were burning. My face was burning. And my wife is pissed because it gets all over her too. And my wife's like, "Get up and do something," right? And I'm like, "No, I don't know where we're at," right? So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to let this one ride. And if you know me, if some of my friends are listening to this, they know I don't let stuff like that ride. But I let it ride. So I'm like, whatever, let's go. So I'm walking outside, and they know me as Mexico. They call me Mexico, right? So people are like, "What happened, Mexico? Why is your shirt all wet?" Like, super taunting me, bro. "Why is your shirt all wet?" So I'm like, what? Whatever, I'm pissed off. So I walk outside, and this lady boy is outside talking shit to me.
And this lady boy is probably about 6 foot tall and, probably outweighs both of us, huh?
Yeah, it was a big lady boy. You're right. And so it's like waiting for me to go outside, and I'm thinking to myself, first of all, I gave you a pass. You threw this in my face. I didn't do nothing about it. I can't believe you're waiting for me. Right now, at this point, I'm pissed off, bro. So at the time, I actually paid the cab driver to take us around the town the whole week. So I essentially had a taxi driver just take me around town. So he saw what was happening. He's like, "Get in the car, let's go." So I'm like, no. He's like, "Get in the car, let's go. You're going to get in trouble, whatever." I get my wife in the car, and this girl, whatever, is sneaking up behind me to just sucker punch me. Well, I saw that, turned around and punched the crap out of him, dude. Knocked him out cold. Just, it was bad. It was super bad, bro.
Just to sleep, Just to sleep.
Oh, dude, sleep. I went to sleep. Everybody was like, "Damn!" You can hear the crowd just like, well, like, "Oh shit!" Like, just crazy, bro. His phone shattered. His wig was like off. It was all bad, bro. So, yeah, it was so bad. The taxi cab driver was like, "Let's go. The cops are gonna come. Let's get out of here." So I got in the car and we left. And that was it. That was the end of the story. But that was a crazy story.
Oh my God, I love it, bro, and I love it that you shared it, man. I remember that one because I had already left at that point, and I know it's dangerous down there. I mean, it's a little beach town, but I mean, there's people just setting you up, and people get cut with bottles and razor blades, and people get shot, and so you got to watch your P's and Q's. So I love it that you scored one for the good guys there and knocked the wig off,
I did, bro. I certainly did, and I knew about that. And I had actually seen like a show where it said, "Hey, be careful with people acting like they're drunk. They like try to like bump you and try to get your stuff, And that exact same thing happened the very first night we were there. Some guy started acting like he was drunk, and I told my wife, "Grab your purse, get your purse." And sure enough, man, he like laid on the table like he was drunk next to us. And I got up and I was pissed, and I said, "Hey," I told the bartender, I said, "Tell your friend that he's not drunk and that I'm Mexican. I'm going to beat his ass if he doesn't get out of here."
Yeah,
and sure enough, the guy like give him a nudge and he left.
Yeah, it's like, I ain't the one, man. I ain't the one. Oh, my God.
You got the wrong guy.
Oh, my God. I love it. So one more question for you, and I've taken up so much of your time here in the evening when you're probably trying to get to your family, but when it comes to networking, business, life, all this stuff, I love to end with this question. What's one piece of advice you'd give young Rico Rivera from 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, man. So, what's one? You know what? I don't really regret anything. I don't like to say that I regret anything, or I would do anything different. And that's essentially what the question is. I think the one thing that I could say I would have done a little bit different is actually get into the real estate field a lot sooner. So if I could go back and talk to the 10-year-old Rico, I probably would have said, "Hey man, get into real estate today," you know? Because I feel like I know a lot of top producing real estate agents. I've actually helped a lot of top producing real estate agents, but I've known a lot of agents that got into the business before 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and are just killing it. Are killing it. Sometimes I feel like, why didn't I do that then? And that's the only thing. You know? Why didn't I join the real estate business and be my own person, have my own business a long time ago?
Yeah. Well, you did. You're doing something right, and you did it probably at the right time. And I wish you all the best success, brother. You know, I only get back there maybe once a year, but it's a highlight seeing you and kicking it with the old friends. So I'm always here if you need anything. And thank you so much for sharing some thoughts with us today.
Absolutely, man. It's an honor to actually be able to share with you guys. You know, I hope that somebody gets a little nugget and implements at least one of the things that they learned today. That's another thing, man. Don't try to implement everything that somebody else does. You know, don't. Maybe this is what I would tell myself 10 years ago. Don't try to implement what other people are doing that is not really who you are. You know, if network is not your thing, then find out what your passion is, what you love. What essentially makes you feel like you're not working, and do that to the best of your ability.
Beautiful. And if there's a new agent out there or agent looking for a change in Sacramento, where should they go? What real estate company, and where should home buyers and sellers go?
So brand new agents, I'm a diehard believer that Keller Williams has the best training in the world. And you can probably ask other people and they'll tell you the same thing. So if you're a brand new agent, absolutely check out Keller Williams. You can call me if you'd like, 916-254-8448. I can point you in the right direction to how to get your license and where to go to pass your test, and then how to get the training from Keller. And then obviously if you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate, you can call me, and me and my team can help you with either one of those three things. And my number, again, is 916-254-8448.
Awesome. Hey, Rico, thank you so much, man. And until we meet again very soon, I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for the time. I really appreciate you. Best of luck to you. Make it happen, bro.